Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome into another lecture of the Armor program. So, in the last lecture, we talked about the evidence for the Creator. And I thought in this lecture, and sort of as a continuation of that lecture, I thought we will look at a book called There Is a God by Anthony Flew. Now, Anthony Flew is a British philosopher. He was the Richard Dawkins of the 20th century, one of the main atheists in the last century. He had many books in favor of atheism, and he also had debates also in the same field. So, when he became 80 years old in 2004, he came and said that he is now a deist, not a theist. He is a deist. So he moved from atheism to deism. Now, what does deism mean? Deism means he believes in a God, he believes in a supernatural power, he believes in an intelligent designer, but he declines religion. He declines revelation. So he moved from atheism to deism, and then he made this book with another writer. They made this book which is called There Is a God. So you can see there is no God, and then they put a slash, and then there is a God. Now, I thought we'll look at this book today because there are many important points that I want to highlight today, specific for the Muslims in general, and also we will talk about the problem of evil in a bit more details, especially at the end of the lecture, inshallah ta'ala. So let's get started. So the book starts with Anthony Flew telling us about his childhood, how he was raised. Now, his father was a priest, very active in the church, calling to Christianity, but he said that his father never told him why he should have faith. What's the benefit of worship? And then he got faced with and that was the main thing that led him to be an atheist, is the problem of evil. So he said, if God is all loving, why is there evil? If God is all powerful, why can't he stop this evil? Now, then he, as I said, this led him to become an atheist. Then he said, someone might ask me, why didn't you ask your father? Your father is a priest. He knows the Bible. He knows things about those issues. Why didn't you ask him? So what he said, and please, for every parent, pay attention to this. He said, I did not want to disturb the environment at home, and I did not want to lose my father. Now the question that I have, how many Anthony Flews are there in the Muslim homes? You see parents drag their children to Islamic schools, to mosques, to whatever, Saturday, Sunday school, drag them like sheeps. Okay? They think that their main role is to feed them. And that's it, take them to the school. That's for the ones who cared a bit to take them to the mosque and the Islamic school and things like that. And thinking that everything's all right, we did what we can, there's nothing much that we can do. That is madness. Unless we become active in the way we raise our kids, not reactive. Reactive means we wait for the problem to happen and then we start fix it. But then active means we predict, we anticipate, we put the right things in them before we get surprised by them developing the bad habits or the bad ideas and thoughts. So, as I said, they're not sheeps, they're humans, and they're exposed to all sorts of doubts and misconceptions. We need to be the ones who present those ideas and refute them at the same time, or at least have an open environment at home that allows questions. Ask them, do you have any questions? Does anything that you hear about Islam or things about faith, do you have questions? Do you maybe tell them the stories about the Prophet and his companions when they were asking questions, things like that? Have this open environment at home and invite questions. And even if we don't have the answers, then we should have a mechanism at least of finding the answers, and know that there is no question that Islam does not have an answer to, inshallah. So this is the main message from this part of Anthony Flew story, is that we should be prepared, we should be active in maintaining the faith of our children. So then Anthony Flew takes us through his youth, went to uni, studied philosophy, became one of the main figures of atheism, books, debates, all those sorts of things. Then he started describing why he changed his mind. So he said he always followed the advice of Plato to his student Socrates, and the advice was follow the argument wherever it leads. So he said, at the beginning, we thought the universe is eternal, so it didn't need a cause. But with all those scientific discoveries, it became evident and clear that the universe has a beginning. So now the question comes, what's the cause for this universe? He also said that one of the other things is that the fact that matter, if we start from matter, we are not going to end up with life. So he said, if you leave a marble table, you've got a marble table, leave it for billions of years. I don't know how it will turn into something that has life, that moves, that's got purpose, that's got intelligence, that can reproduce. That's not possible. The explanation of the atheistic explanation of matter turning into alive life is not accepted. So there's no other explanation other than God. The other thing he said, that as long as, which is what we called about the infinite regression of causes, is that he said, why there is something rather than nothing. He said, as long as there is something that always existed must have preceded this thing that we have. Take your pick, universe or God. So those were the main things that got him into changing his mind. Now, one of the main things that he highlighted is that atheists actually start from there is no God, and then we need to find a reason to believe in this. And this point explains lots of the things that we've been seeing in the last few lectures. He talks about like multiverse. He said this is something that's got no evidence whatsoever, and also it does not explain anything because you still need a cause for the multiverse. So he said that's one of the examples that atheists come up with. So as I said, he said, I will follow the argument wherever it leads. But atheists start from that. There is no God, and then we have to find a reason to believe in this. And this is what we will see shortly, inshallah. We'll start talking about the problem of evil. So this is, as I said, one of the main points that he highlighted in his book. Okay, so Anthony Flew died in 2010, and he, as far as we know, died as a deist. Did not accept any religion. So, now let me start talking about the problem of evil, or as they call it, the rock of atheism. This is one of the main arguments for atheists against the presence of or the existence of God. Now, in discussing this issue, there are two things to consider. The first one is it a valid argument against the existence of God? The second one is, how do we understand the presence of evil in the presence of God that's all loving, that's all knowing, that's all powerful? Now this second part, inshallah, it will be discussed extensively throughout the program, because this second part can only be explained within the religion itself, within the traditions, the teachings of the religion. The first part, we'll talk about it now. And believe me, once you understand the first part, then people and lots of people can just live with that. It's enough to know that this is not a valid argument for the existence of God, then people survive, no problems whatsoever. They'll have peace inside that this is not something that goes against the existence of God. Now let's look at what does this argument say. It says God is loving. Of course, even that God is loving, that's a Christian term. In Islam, that's a conditional. There's a condition for this love. Inshallah, this will be explained more once we get to Islam. But for now, let's say, okay, God is loving. There is evil. God does not exist. That's what they're basically saying. Now, let me put it in another way. Ahmed is a righteous person. He goes to the mosque, he prays, he feeds the poor, the needy. He does good things. I've seen him do good things. I've seen Ahmed beating children. Ahmed does not exist. That's madness. Would you accept this argument? No. So understand that the problem of evil, and even Anthony Flew in his book, he admits that. He said, this is not, I realized that the problem of evil is not about the existence of God. It's about the attributes of God. It's not about the existence. If you want to talk about existence and argue against the existence of God, talk about the things that we talked about in the last lecture. Not the problem of evil. So let's set up a rule today for how we deal with things that we hear. Because as we said, atheists, they start from there's no God. Now we need to find an excuse. Okay. Like the other day I was watching on YouTube, Zakir Naik. A guy stood up. I'm an atheist. I want an answer to this question. Yeah, what's your question? Why does God create people knowing that they will go to hellfire? Yeah, but you can't be an atheist because of that. That's not a question of existence. That's a question of why. I don't understand that. But it doesn't go again. You cannot say there's no God because he created some people and he decided to put them in hellfire, or that he knew that they're going to the hellfire. That's not an excuse. You get what I mean? So anything we hear, we must put it in a category. Does that go against the existence of God? Or is that I don't know why? Then if it's I don't know why, then I need to go to my religion to understand. But it does not negate the fact that God exists, because as we said, go and watch the last lecture if you haven't watched it. That's how you affirm or reject the presence of God. You don't go with those arguments. So, as we said now, the evil problem is not about the existence of God. It's about the attributes of God. Because also, if you say there is no God because there is evil, you should, if you use this logic, then you should say there is a God because there's good. And the good in the universe is much, much more than the evil. Look at every mother that she loves her child. Look at every father that loves his child. Look at the love among brothers, sisters, the people who help the poor and needy. And look at all the good that's in the universe. The other thing, and as some of the people who debate against atheists, they also say that, well, you're an atheist. You believe in matter, and matter only. You're a materialistic person. Your objective morality has got no basis. The fact that you feel that there is evil, then you're refuting your belief. Because you should not feel, if you're just matter, you should not feel that there is evil and there is good. That feeling should not come to you because you believe you're just matter. You're just molecules, you're chemistry that turned into biology. Why do you feel that there is something bad and good? Where does this feeling come from? You see? So for me, as I said, once you understand that this is not about existence, it's about attributes, then you can't be an atheist because of that. Then you just go and find the answer to that question, knowing that it's about, as I said, it's about attributes, not about existence. Now I want to show you this video for an actor called Stephen Fry, an atheist. They asked him, what will you do when you die, or if you die, when you die, and you find out there's a God? What are you going to tell him? So let's see what he said.
Suppose what Oscar believed in as he died, in spite of your protestations, suppose it's all true, and you walk up to the pearly gates and you are confronted by God. What will Stephen Fry say to him, her, or it?
I will basically, what's known as theodicy, I think. I'll say, bone cancer in children? What's that about? How dare you? How dare you create a world in which there is such misery that is not our fault? It's not right. It's utterly, utterly evil. Why should I respect a capricious, mean-minded God who creates a world which is so full of injustice and pain? That's what I'd say.
Now, when you watch this, you would think 5 of Stephen Fry kids died with bone cancer. Well, he doesn't have kids. You can Google and see why. But let me show you someone who his daughter got diagnosed with bone cancer, and then later on her leg was amputated, and then she died of bone cancer. This is our brother, Dr. Ayad Qunaybi. He's a professor in pharmacology, and we'll show you now what he was saying when he was burying his daughter who died with bone cancer, and then we'll show you what he was saying about how he felt about it later. Just watch and see how the Muslim, the one with faith, how he deals with the bone cancer that the atheist who did not suffer, not him, not to any of his kids, okay, and see how he was talking about God, and look at the believer, how he's coping and how he's accepting that and how he knows the wisdom of what happened to him. Just have a look.
والله لا أظن بالله عز وجل إلا أن يكرمها، خاصة أنها بنت طفلة غير مكلفة، والله لا أظن بالله إلا أن يكرمها. أصبحت المهمة سهلة جدا علي أنا وعائلتي أننا نحسن الفعل حتى نجتمع بها في الجنة. قال الله تعالى: والذين آمنوا واتبعتهم ذريتهم بإيمان ألحقنا بهم ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء كل امرئ بما كسب رهين. على قدر حزني على ابنتي أنها تفارقني، لكن هناك راحة أكثر وطمأنينة أكثر وسعادة أكثر أن الله ختم لها على هذا الحال بفضل الله تعالى ورحمة. يوم من الأيام أتذكر كان في يوم 27 رمضان، جت لعندي وقالت: بابا رجلي منفوخة بتوجعني. نظرت بالفعل كانت ركبتها منفوخة، أخذتها على الطبيب قال لي: لا، ما دام منفوخة روح أعمل لها تصوير رنين مغناطيسي. فإحنا خارجين من عند التصوير أطول التقرير مكتوب يوينغ ساركوما، نوع من أنواع السرطان. فهذه كانت لحظة تلقي الخبر الأولى، وسبحان الله حسيت وكأن بردا نزل على قلبي.
سبحان الله.
نزلت طمأنينة يعني، وتقبلت الخبر، ما أخبرتها طبعا، وبقينا أسابيع.
دكتور أنا آسف أقاطع، كيف طمأنينة يعني كيف طمأنينة بهذا الخبر؟
والله طمأنينة يعني مثل أنواع الروائح ومذاقات الأطعمة، شيء يمكن أن يعايش ومن الصعب أن ينقل. فأول ما خطر ببالي قول النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن العبد إذا سبقت له المنزلة من الله عز وجل لم يبلغها بعمله لا يزال الله يبتليه في ماله وولده ثم يصبره حتى يبلغه المنزلة التي سبقت له من الله. ثم بعد ذلك فأنا يعني بالفعل أحسست وقتها أيضا بأهمية قضية أنه إحنا مش المسألة متى يموت ابني أو العزيز علي، على ماذا يموت، أهم شيء على ماذا يموت. فما يهمني هو أن أصل خط النهاية وأنا مهدي، أنا وأحبابي، حتى بعد هذا الافتراق القصير نلتقي في الجنة بإذن الله تعالى في الحياة الأبدية الخالدة.
So may Allah have mercy on Sarah's soul and gather her with her father, mother and family in paradise inshallah ta'ala, and have mercy on all the dead of Muslims who died on La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So back to our point now. Where whatever we hear now, any argument that's put by atheists, The first thing is we need to categorize it. Is this about existence or is it about attributes or not knowing the reason of something? If it's about existence, we've got our proof and evidence from the last lecture. If it's about attributes, if it's about reason for something, that has to be solved within the religion. And this is what we will take throughout the program, inshallah ta'ala. Once we understand Islam, once we understand the rulings, the teachings, the traditions of Islam, then all those questions we'll be able to answer and settle within ourselves, inshallah ta'ala. So I think that's all for today, inshallah. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.